Hello, viewers. Good evening, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. We wish you, we welcome you to KBOX TV. And yes, it's an unusual day for us to be doing talking boxing, but yeah, it's very necessary because the man you see in your shot today has sparked some very, very heated conversations in Nigeria. And for us at KBOX TV, we can't let it just die down. We want to keep the momentum going. And so we've decided to invite him to have an exclusive with him. So we digest this matter properly and see the way forward. Guys, my guest is Saleh Fawaz again of Saleh Gloves Promotion. Saleh, welcome to KBOX TV.
So thanks for having me. Thanks for having me, Kofi.
Yeah, right. And welcome again. I mean, looks like we're going to continue from where we ended the last time, but with a more, detailed information than what we did the first time. And first
Yes.
of all, I want us to talk about, the video you put out. That is the reason why we're here. I mean, what made you put that video out?
Well, these fights are fights that a lot of us have been talking about. I mean, a lot of us in boxing, in Nigerian boxing, we've always talked about these fights, and we hear the fans, they really want this fight. These fights that I mentioned, and I just thought, it's very important to come out with with the video that I did in the right time, when it makes sense, and I those fights I mentioned are fights that the fans really want to see, that the best boxers in the country, and I just thought that give the fans what they want, and let's do this the right way. These are big names in Nigerian boxing, so somebody had to come out there and say it in a direct way. There was no need for people wondering what's going on with these fights that the fans want. So I did the video basically, just to be direct and to be open and be transparent about these fights. The fights I mentioned are not all boxers under our promotion. It was basically for Nigerian boxing, and how to move forward. Like I said, the fans are demanding big time for it. With the whole COVID-19 thing, there's one thing we are realizing around the world right now with boxing is there's demand for big fights in every country, right? So I just thought that with that and with the fans demanding it, and obviously I believe that in Africa, if you want to build great boxers to fight abroad or to bring international fights to Africa, I think it makes sense to test yourself, with the best around your territory, so that you can be ready when you go or take the next step.
Great. I mean, I'm very glad you said that it's very important for fighters to test themselves. Because I was about to ask you that. We find ourselves as boxing fans saying that, we want to see the best fight the best, especially in the world. And why is it not happening in Africa? But yet you're saying we want to see the best fight the best in the world.
Well, it's I don't know, some African countries, I believe, take it like a family business, and it's not really a family business. It is, there's family, you grow relationships, very strong relationships with people in the game. But at the end of the day, it's not a family business. This is boxing. I just feel like in Africa, the reason why you don't see the best fighting the best is probably nobody wants to come out there and say it. So that's another reason for my video, because it's what the fans want. It's what everybody's talking about. It's what the boxers want. And that's the best way to move forward. By having the best fighting the best, if it's done right in the right manner. I'm not talking about boxers that have one fight or two fights here, so these guys have proper records on in their boxing career so far. So it's not something like, it's going to spoil someone's career or something like that. It's not. It's actually going to enhance the career, and make them be ready. So I just thought that, I just said what I felt, in the right time. These are fights that I said that I would love to promote or be part of, or even just to see, you know, even if it's promoted by other promoters in the country, you know. But obviously, some of the names I mentioned, three of them are boxers under our promotion. So
Right,
you
right,
can expect me to be strong on that. But it's not just about my boxers. It's about the best fighting the best. If we do a survey right now all over Nigeria, and you ask the fans and the people if they would love this fights based on the video that I made, it will be a 99% to 1% vote.
right, right, right. Because I mean, after putting that video out, by your words, 99% to one is what's happening already, because you see the boxers going hard on each other on I mean on under the video that you posted. First of all, Tony Salam and then Dura Dura. But before I'll go to that side, all right. Um, you kept mentioning something in the video. You said the right title, the right time, the money should be also good. You kept mentioning these things. I want to find out. I mean, how do you intend putting the right title on? Because I know it's going to involve money. Already the parents have made a very interesting parents, so I know the purses too are also going to be equally fat for the boxers, because it's their reputation and then their records are putting on the line, and then the promoters that are going to promote these shows. How do you intend, or what? How have you been able? How do you think this is going to happen with, especially with the money bit?
Okay, so you know, for the last couple of years, most of us promoters in Nigeria, you know, we've been funding and investing in fights and you know, in boxing generally. Um, Based on your question, you know, if I walked into a sponsor's office right now, or a media house and all that, uh, it's very direct. You know, who are these boxers? How big is this fight? You know, those are questions that you know, when you are honest and you know how big these guys are, and somebody asks you a question like that, you don't need to waste time. You I mean, you see the reaction on social media, you see how big this thing is gathering. You know, what you call it, publicity, if you like.
Right.
So you know, how do we do it? You know, it's
Mhm.
going to be a teamwork kind of thing, you know, with the media guys and the sponsors and the guys involved in boxing and all that, and the boxers and everybody involved, you know, need to, you know, put hands together to get this done. Um, there's some fights that, you know, maybe I'll not waste time. If people waste time, you know, maybe I'll just promote it myself or something, you know. But let's talk business. You know, it's not just about, you know, putting the money out there and, you know, just making the fights there. You know, this is business at the end of the day. So you would want to follow, you know, the right pattern, you know, in terms of sponsorship, in terms of TV, media houses, promotion, and all that, and then see the budget that can, you know, you can work around and make it as big as possible, you know. But yeah, so how do I see it happening? It's just this is just step one. The video was step one. You know, a lot of people have called since that video, you know, like you guys at KBOXtv. You know, I've got some other media houses in the country that have called, and even in Angola, you know, I got somebody that called me from Angola, which was first time that I, you know, it was a bit strange. And obviously, some promoters in Ghana, some big names like Solomon Otto and the rest, you know, have showed interest. So it's just step one. You know, imagine this video was out about a couple of days ago, if I'm not mistaken,
Yeah.
and you know, there's already some publicity generated from it. We have time. You know, we have 2021. You know, this is just the first week of the build-up, if it does happen. So you can imagine, if this thing builds up the right way, then there's nothing that can stop us from doing this show.
Great, great. I mean, the plan is working perfectly according to, I mean, to your plan. But quick one, the reactions you are getting now, how does it make you feel as a promoter?
Well, you know, in Nigeria, you know, we say they think they ginger you, you know, at the beginning. You know, it gingers you.
Right.
But, you know, in African boxing, until you see it happening, then you'll be like, yes, you know, mission accomplished. You
Yeah.
know, because many times, you know, in Africa, many things happen where it stops at some point, or maybe there's no sponsorship, or maybe one of those things. But I have a very strong feeling about this one.
Mm.
You know, the video that I made. So it makes me feel good, you know. The first reaction I got, you know, like I said, for the guys from Angola, Ghana, KBOXtv, and some fans and some people that called me, that alone, you know, gives me that motivation that, you know, we can still push this and get it done. You know, so it makes me feel good. You know, I just felt like somebody had to do it, you know, had to start it, if you like. And it makes me feel good that the reactions were good, and you know, it's gaining attention, and hopefully it gets better than this. I'll feel better when it builds up more.
Great. We'll dive straight into the we'll be diving into the names you mentioned, but I want to talk a little bit about the boxing politics. All right, like you said, you have three of the guys in your team or in your camp under your management, and I'm sure the rest of the guys will also have their own management. Usually, not just Nigeria, we've seen this like in many parts of the world, especially in boxing, where promoters or management wants to keep their boxer, not pair them against a certain people, because they know in their head they'll feel like this guy is going to beat him, so he wants to protect him until he gets that bigger fight in the States or in the UK. How do you think politics will play in this mix?
Well, you know, like I said earlier, you know, it's very important that, you know, we give our boxers the chance to test themselves, you know, in the ring and all that. You know, a couple of months ago, I believe a year ago, I was listening to the president of Ghana, you know, saying on TV that he's very happy with you know with Ghana's boxing, basically,
Yeah,
and
right.
and but at the same time he also stated that he would like it if we, you know, we in Africa, you know, the basically, so that when you go up, you know, you can be ready, you know, basically, or when the big fights come, you can be ready. If you're going to always protect your boxer, right? If I'm talking from Africa right now point of view, if you're always going to protect your boxer and all that, how ready would he be when he goes abroad? How ready would he be when the big fights come to the country?
All right, guys, I think we've lost Fawaz, but then he'll jump right back in. Let's just wait. It's getting interesting, and we will be diving into the fight very soon. So the biggest one on the name that he mentioned is Salam versus Durodura. It's one of the fights that I would like him to talk about. He's back on the line. Let's get him on the show real quick, and then yeah. So Fawaz, I mean, you were off a little bit, but thanks.
Yeah, I don't know. The thing just went off.
Yeah, right. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you were talking about, I mean, the president of Ghana's comments about the fact that he would love to see real fights. I mean, 50-50 fights in Africa before the guys leave the shores of Africa to compete in the world. Oh, we lost him again. Um, we lost him again, but we'll get him back real soon. Okay, he's back again. He's back. So Fawaz.
Yeah, apologies. I don't know. I think it's the network.
Yeah, the network, guys. It's good to have you back. Yeah, I was saying that.
Yeah.
I mean, you were talking about the reactions from the president of Ghana when about boxing, the best facing the best, so that we can get the real quality ones to represent Africa in the world.
Yes, of course. You know, he has a strong point. You know, you know, it's one thing to manage your boxer, which is, you know, promote your boxer and all that, but you have to also understand, you know, like your boxer also needs to also, you know, fight the best in the territory, so that at least when the big fights come home, or maybe you go abroad, you know, you'll be ready. You know, you can last a longer rounds. You can be, you know, who knows, maybe win the world title, or win more world titles. You know, which is the case for most of our African boxers. You know, we go abroad, and not too many of us, you know, stay there for a long time. You know, or maybe you know, fights, we don't last so long in big fights. You know, that has to change. You know, and the best way for it to change obviously has to do with, you know, fights they get, the promotions, the way you manage your boxer and all that. But if you're gonna, avoid all those good fights, and by the time you get there, you know, uh, it's gonna show. Your performance is gonna show. Don't forget, we're trying to raise the African flag here.
True.
So yes, we all want to make money, man. We
Yeah.
all like to make money. It's business.
Yeah.
But also with that money, there's performance, there's skills, there is pride, there's the glory. So at least you'll be ready. You'll be ready when you go out there. That's my point of saying the best should fight the best when the time is right.
Yeah, I think people have not even realized it, because I mean, if I tune into BT Sport or the Zone or whatever, and I want to watch, for instance, a Ghanaian fighter representing Ghana, not just Ghana but the whole of Africa, on that particular platform, and I see the boxer just down in round one or round two, that's like a big disgrace. So I'm really for Africans fighting themselves, for us to get the best to really represent not just the person, like the country, but the whole of Africa out there. Because let take it or leave it. Usually, we only find one African fighter, or one one African fighter on a card. You don't really get it,
Yeah.
like let's say 4 Ghanaians going to fight for a WBO, or 4 African fighters going to fight for WBO or WBC on all the cards. It doesn't happen like
Yeah.
that. So I mean,
Yeah,
what
you're
you're saying,
right.
I really so agree with you, and I hope we get it like that.
Yes, and with it's just the same story with Africans fighting, the best in Africa fighting the best in Africa. It's also the same thing in if you take any country in Africa, it's
Mm.
it's the best fighting the best in that country, and then you fight the best in Africa, and then you now fight abroad, or you bring international fights to your country.
Right.
I'm not saying that every fight should be that way. I'm just saying that in the midst of promoting
Mm.
10 fights or 12 fights, there
Mm.
has to be some fights of the best fighting the best,
True.
when the time is right.
True. True. And names sell out arenas, names sell out places or venues for people to come watch. And definitely, with some of the names that you've mentioned, I am so sure that people will come and watch. Especially this name, Tony Salam versus Durodola. I mean, those are the two guys that, I mean, came hard at each other under your post when you shared it. I mean, for a matter of fact, my attention was drawn to it by one of my solid fans on KBOXtv in Nigeria. I was like, Kofi, you need to see this thing, and he pushed it to me, and I was like, wow, we have a fight. What do you say?
It's a long story between Tony Salam and Duro Dola. Even in the video, I said, credit to them for respecting each other as athletes. And then which they do. That's the good side, and that's very important to understand, and the fans need to understand that. But I wouldn't hide it and tell you that these guys don't have beef. This is probably the biggest beef in Nigerian boxing.
Right.
They have a story that goes way back.
From I was reading from amateur comments.
Yeah. From amateur days, and sparring wars and all that, and even they were, these two guys were separated once at Federal Palace Hotel
Wow.
during a boxing event. They were separated in one of our Lasgidi Fight Night edition that was done in Jalisco Gym Oshodi. They've gone back and forth in social media before. It's one of those things where if they're in the same place, they just sit down and everybody's just on his own. That kind of stuff, basically. So it's a long story between both of them. But Kofi, it's a fight that I would love to promote. Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
But I keep hearing things like from Duro Dola's side. I mentioned it in the video, and I'm going to say it again. And I would say it to Duro Dola when I see him. I keep hearing his people saying that he has nothing to gain against Tony Salam, right?
Yeah.
Okay, because credit to him, he's done a lot in professional boxing.
Right.
He's former WBC silver,
Right.
WBO Africa.
Right.
He's the ABU
Yeah.
ABU champion. He's ranked number 3/4 WBC in the world. You know, so you have to give him that credit.
Mm.
But in terms of I don't gain anything fighting Tony Salam, right?
Mhm.
Okay, I can understand what he's trying to say in terms of, you know, the titles that he's fought for and all that. But you can't rub off somebody like Tony Salam like he's nobody. Tony Salam is the WBF African champion. Tony
Right.
Salam is the only Nigerian boxer in history that has won the Four Nations amateur competition in the UK, right?
Oh,
Tony, the only Nigerian boxer. Tony Salam gave Durodola a tough time in sparring. You know, Tony Salam and Durodola are ranked top two Nigerian boxers under WBC Africa, which is ABU.
okay.
Tony Salam and Durodola are
Because
what the fans want to see.
I hope you guys are taking this thing this Q is mentioning, because these are the reasons why we want to see the fight. Now go on.
Durodola and Tony Salam are both are ranked top two Nigerian boxers under ABU. I was saying WBC Africa. Had Tony Salam fought Vikapita Meroro of Namibia last year for the WBO Africa, Tony Salam would have been ranked top 15.
Yeah, in the on the
So
WBO.
yes, WBO. So he's not far away like people make make it seem. But if that's the case, then I will promote a title fight for Tony Salam, and maybe that time they would listen to it, or maybe I would now ask for the ABU title Durodola has that he has to defend because he's due to defend it.
Yeah,
Now,
right.
if COVID-19, right? Check this out. If
Yeah.
COVID-19 restrictions does not allow us Nigerians to travel to certain countries for a certain period of time when things go back to normal, what are you going to do? You're going to hold the ABU title for 2 years?
Right.
You will defend it. You will defend it against someone that is qualified to fight, which is
Right.
Tony Salam.
Right.
You
That
know.
makes a lot of sense.
So do you understand where I'm coming from? That's why I just let everybody say what they're saying and all that, and and you know. But it makes sense. And then if I do a survey right now
Right.
in Lagos City for
Yeah.
25 million population in Lagos City, I will get a vote of 99% that Tony Salam. They want to see Tony Salam Durodola. And the 1% is probably people that are trying to protect Durodola. Now, listen, let me tell you something, Kofi.
Okay.
Let me make something very, very straight, yeah?
Okay.
We don't know who is going to win. It's boxing.
Right. It's boxing.
Even the
Well-
other fights I mentioned, we don't know who's going to win. It's boxing. Congratulations to whoever wins it. I am more concerned about putting the right fights for Nigerian boxing to move forward.
Right.
I am concerned about putting the fights that the fans want to see, the money fights.
Right.
You know, so you know, like, so those type of excuses, like, for me, like, you know, nobody is a kid here. You know, what are the real reasons you don't want to fight Tony Salam? Because if you are going to stand with those your reasons, I just told you 7 reasons that makes it valid.
Right.
You want to be do you want to be the people's champion or not? How do you become the people's champion? You give them the fight they want.
Mhm.
Okay. You want to be the best you want your country to say you're the best cruiserweight in the country. How do you do it when you have fans divided of some saying Durodola, some saying Tony Salam?
Right.
Now, I am telling you that if it's because of the rank, then I will definitely promote a title fight for Tony Salam so he can have the chance to be higher in the ranking, and then maybe we get the fight happen.
So, but the question is, if you promote that fight for him to get that title, will Durodola be willing to accept the fight? That is where you're coming from, right?
Yes, that's what I'm. Yes, that's what I'm. So maybe after that, you know, because I'm just trying to face his reasons, you know, all the things he said on social media and all that thing that he was saying and all that. It's not entirely like that, you know.
Right.
We're not new people in boxing, you know. Most of us listening and reading, we're not. I said I understand where he was coming from in terms of his ranking. I did say that.
Yeah.
I also said that he's a big timer with everything he has done for Nigerian boxing. I'm really proud of him, you know. But what I'm trying to say is, a boxer that everybody or a lot of people think that is the best cruiserweight in the country is the guy I'm talking about, Tony Salam. So, you know, and then Durodola fought the likes of Kabiru Towolawi, also known as KB Godson.
Okay.
KB is a big fighter also. With 11 fights and he's undefeated with 11 fights, I believe. Tony Salam has had 16 fights. I mean, if you can fight KB based on your own understanding, then you can fight Tony Salam.
Right. That's right. That's right.
Do you understand where I'm coming from?
Yeah, I understand where you're
So
coming
it's either you want the fight or you don't want the fight. And I would say to him, it's not that I will not say, I would say to him, even now, I hope he's listening. But I say with the biggest.
And I'm thinking of I already have his contact. I want to talk to him and get him and his manager also on, because, like I'm saying, now you are talking from not just for yourself, but are talking also for Tony Salam. I'm sure they would also want to respond to this, and so I would want to get his manager also on the show and get the two guys themselves on the show for that, so we can digest this thing. But guys, this is a fight that, like he has said, a lot of people, including myself, would want to see, because I have followed Tony Salam a little. I've also followed Duro. I've seen many of their fights. I've seen Duro fight here in Ghana, because I was at the arena when he fought for the ABU title. I was there. I streamed that.
Dabul, yes.
Yeah, live on KBOXtv. So yeah, if we say we're going to stay on this fight, we won't go on to talk about Really One Lawal and then Tunde and then Olaju. So guys, of course, the most heated ones, but there are other fights which are also equally important, and that many Nigerians, including we Ghanaians from the other side, we want to see, especially the Taiwan Abaji versus Really One Lawal. What will be the jailbreaker about with this one?
This is a huge fight. Different styles. Two boxers that know each other from the amateur days. They've had an incredible amateur career. They're both 9-0, in their pro career right now. People say they're the two best featherweight in the country. They have different styles, and styles make fights and all that. But obviously, Really One Lawal is the national and West African featherweight champion. And I just said in the last video that I posted that we are ready to listen to this fight as well. As far as Really One Lawal is concerned. But I just thought from a promoter's point of view, I felt that the Tope Musa, who is also in the featherweight category, is a great boxer as well, and he deserves a shot. In this featherweight mix that we're talking about. And Taiwo Agbaja and Tope Musa, they fought before, and the fans had mixed feelings with the result, and the fans wanted a rematch. So I just looked at it from a direct point of view that maybe Tope Musa and Taiwo Agbaja could get a rematch, and then we can now consider the fight with Really One Lawal.
Okay, great. I mean, you mentioned the mixed feeling. All right, how do you satisfy somebody who has mixed feeling? Is by putting the show back for them to enjoy. I want to ask, how difficult is it for you guys to organize rematches? Because we've seen a lot of promoters do the first one and take like forever for the rematch to happen.
Well, trust me, if you get a fight like the ones I mentioned in that video, the way the demand for a rematch, if it's worth it, it will be stronger and all that. So I believe if the fights were big, that you will hear the fans more, demanding for these fights.
All right, now let's talk about Otuboy and then Aladu.
Wow,
that fight.
Yeah, that's a fight I was really looking forward to. Wow, this is another big one in the lightweight category. This fight was going to happen, but obviously due to setbacks and injuries, it was postponed. This is another fight where it's also mixed between the fans of who's the best lightweight between Oladuso, and Otuboy. The same story in the featherweight between Really One Lawal and Taiwo Agbaje. The same story in the welterweight between Babyface and Olowu, and obviously Tony Salam and Duro Dola. The same story in the bantamweight between Sense and Sodiq, and obviously Tunde Turning Star in the mix. And
Right.
there's another rematch that people are demanding for between in the super featherweight between Scorpion and Sikiru. They fought
Mm.
in December last year, and the odds were in favor of Scorpion, but Sikiru won. And
Oh,
it reminded everybody the kind of boxer Sikiru was, and now getting back in the ring and all that. So all the fights I mentioned, it's really huge. It's so hard to even think of it on the one card. It's so hard to. It's one of those fights where there has to be a plan and all that, and
right,
it's that big. And let me tell you something, Kofi man. If this is done right, yeah,
right.
trust me, all the boxers, even Durodola, even his team, even the other guys, if it's done right and there's a good reason to fight and there's good money involved, and good sponsorship and all that, trust me, nobody's gonna say no.
I've already seen Solomon Otu contact you. I mean, to want to make the fight in Africa, or sorry, in Ghana. Are you welcome to that?
Yeah, he actually commented on the post on Facebook and all that, and there was a little back and forth there. Am I open to the fight being in Ghana? Of course, Ghana is big in boxing. I'm always in touch with the guys in Ghana and some boxers and some managers and obviously some Nigerian boxers that are there, such as Turning Star Tunde. I know he's in Ghana.
Mm.
I know Wahab has been going back and forth. In Ghana as well. So I always, follow up on all the Nigerian boxers, whether they're under the promotions or not, and obviously the African boxers and Ghana as well, and the likes of Solomon Otto being a promoter and other matchmakers there like Alaji and all these guys.
Yeah.
Am I open to it being in Ghana? Of course, why not? Maybe if it's done in Ghana, it will cut out some debate of which promoter should promote the show. But
Yeah.
in Ghana, we would love to be, if we're going to do it in Ghana, obviously, we would love to co-promote with whoever is interested.
Let me put you on the spot with this one. How much do you think somebody like Tony Salam deserves to take on a night? For instance, if he faces Durodora, sorry.
Let's just say the zeros have to be good enough that you need to look at twice.
Yeah, I mean,
The zeros at the end should be good enough so that you have to look at the contract twice.
okay, all right, but you don't want to put a figure to it.
No, I don't think I don't. Yeah, maybe I wouldn't want to put a figure, but like I said, promoters out there will understand what I'm saying. So if the zeros are enough at the end of the number, then we're good to go.
All right. Once you're here, I want to get your reactions from Helen Johnson's fight. I'm sure you've seen highlights of it, or you've even seen the fight
Yeah,
against
what's the point?
against Maya. I mean, for us as Africans and you watching the fight, I'm sure we had a lot of expectations going to the fight, and we saw the performance of Helen. I mean, what are your reactions, or were your reactions after seeing the fight?
She was very good on defense and moving ahead. She had a lot of good head movements. And sometimes it's difficult to fight somebody like Helen because she goes very low.
Yeah.
So it's very hard to aim. And she did that a lot in the fight. But I was just hoping that she added more on the counter or maybe more on the attack. And used that because the head movements were already good. I just felt like if she threw more punches or something and landed more punches, it would have been a tough night for her opponent. But credit to her, she's had a long story. Helen has come a long way. If you know her story very well, she's gone through a lot of times. She's lost loved ones along the way. She's struggled. And usually, being an African female boxer, it always felt like it's like a longer road. But thank God now it's changing. And and for the good reasons. So credit to her and what she has done for the sport. Based on the fight, I just felt like she focused too much on defense, and maybe the judges didn't feel like she did enough.
And tonight, we have one African also on the line. We have Isaac Dogbe.
I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan.
We have the Neho himself. I mean, back this time in the featherweight division against Chris at 1 p.m. That would be like 12 midnight in Nigeria. I mean, what are
1 a.m.
what are expectations for this fight?
Well, I watched some of his training videos, Dog One. During this time, he felt more comfortable. I saw him like he felt happier. During his last loss, everybody was just hoping that during the recovery stage, mentally, physically, he would be he will handle it properly. And watching his training videos, even the outdoor videos, the sparring, the all that, I saw his face expression. I saw he's happy, he's ready. It reminded me of the time he won in the States, where everybody was happy and he became a champion. So I saw that expression in him this time, and I just hope he delivers. I
Right,
believe he would.
right. Before you go, the only thing which is standing in our way for making this big fight happen, one is COVID-19 and two is money, right? Realistically, when are you looking at these fights happening, assuming all other things being equal and everything working out, when are you expecting to see this fight happen?
Well, we could do it Independence Day next year, which is October 1.
Okay.
It'll be probably give us like a year to build it. But let me take this opportunity to also mention that there's like one or two fights from the fights that I mentioned, that might happen earlier than those fights, and that's because both teams we almost came to an agreement, but obviously it didn't work out, and that's in the welterweight category between Olowu and Babyface.
Yeah, right. Really
you
fair.
know we've spoken and all that, but it didn't go according to plan, because Olowu wants to fight for titles, and Babyface and his team prefer to have a non-contest, but I feel the fight is big enough for title fight. So yeah, maybe one or two or three of those fights may happen before the other ones, and if they do, maybe we would have a rematch next year in October.
Great, great, guys. I mean, we've had Salah on the show. Let me see whether I can get some comments. I know I have taken a lot of your time, but please, these are
No,
fights
it's fine.
that people really want to see, and so I want to take some comments from you. Rulwan says, Alani Omoope, thanks for watching Box. I want to get Oluwa Wambe says he can't wait for the fights. Oladamije Akinde says he's agreed. I don't know if he's one of the names you mentioned. And there's Oladimije says, I will fight Tony Salam at 160. Come on, that's not possible. 160 is not good. Yeah. But yeah, okay, another one said Dogbe is going to win the fight. He's not reduced much weight. All right, thank you. That's comment also coming in from Really One. And guys, I have Really One here, God willing, tomorrow. He will talk about his fight against Taiwan Abaji, and the rest of the guys will also be on the show for us to talk about it. Like Fawaz is saying, we want to build the momentum to possibly first October, right?
Yeah, the latest, looking at the COVID-19 and looking at how big these shows might be, and giving us time to adjust to the new normal next year. I looked at October as a perfect time.
Right, and before you go, I don't know if the Nigerian Federation of Boxing have sat down to have conversations with promoters yet. But here in Ghana, the GBA has already had some meetings with the promoters to discuss the way forward for boxing after COVID-19. And
yes, I watched that 2 weeks ago, right?
Yeah, right, 2 weeks ago. And I think one thing that the promoters were trying to get help from the GBA was the testing, because like we see on Top Rank and Frank Warren's Queensberry and all this, is usually they test the fighters, they keep them to test them before they fight, and we got that, or we understood that it costs almost $100 to test one person. I don't know if the Nigerian Federation have also already started with you guys to have a conversation about that.
No, we've not had anything formal in terms of the federation or the board giving out details to the promoters and all that. But we've had casual conversations here and there in WhatsApp groups, or maybe along conversations on the phone or something, but nothing too concrete from my understanding so far. But obviously, I think it's a case where every promotion would have a plan, I believe, at this point, and how to go about the new measures. And then I think at some point, when things open up more in the country, then it will be a federal and a state thing to now give the board and the federation the requirements for sports to resume. And I think when that happens from the ministry and from the federal side and the state side, and we passed on to the board, and I think at that time the board will, get to the promoters. But for now, it's just casual planning and all that. But from my side and Saleh Gloves Promotion, trust me, there's not been a day since the pandemic that we have not been working for tomorrow.
I've seen you done a lot of do a lot of donations, and on behalf of KBOX TV, we want to thank you and thank. I mean, on behalf of the guys also received the things that you donated. I want to thank you, and
Thank you.
we want to say keep on doing that. Because to be sincere, I mean, the boys are not fighting, so automatically they're not making money. So it means
Yeah,
things are even going to be more tougher for them in their house.
yeah.
Salah, thank you for coming on the show. I mean, your last words before we leave.
Well, this goes out to all the, everybody involved with Nigerian boxing, Ghana, Africa, and all that. We're in this together, and it will pass. It will pass. At least now, with a couple of months down the road, we've understood, that certain measures that we need to do to, continue our lives and all that. And in terms of boxing and all that, I'm ready to go all out to give the fans the fights that they want. From my side, I'm saying this on KBOX TV. I am ready to do my part to give Nigerian fans the best Nigerian fights, and I would do it. And I just need the right people in the industry to put hands together, and let's give the fans. Believe me, these fights will take Nigerian boxing to the top.
Believe him, this fight will take Nigerian boxing to the top. I believe this. I believe so too. Salah, thank you again for coming on KBOX TV. And like always, KBOX TV is here for you. At any point that you want to, get any message across, you can always contact us, and we'll do so. And yes, if this fight happens, KBOX TV will be there in Nigeria to cover this fight for everybody in the world to see this. Thank you again, and we have a very good evening.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me.
Okay.
Thank you.